It's embarrassing how long it took me to see this. So, because I have nowhere else to talk about it, I have now finally, after much dragging my feet on it, and even though I suspected I would like it the whole time, and I did, I finally seen Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Does this mean I'm going to rush out and see Jumanji, the next level? No. I'll probably see it eventually, but again, give it 2 years or so. I'd heard good things about this. And actually, Liz had seen this ages ago and had been encouraging me to see it. So now I have. This is a really good movie. And not just like, whoa, better than I thought. Not even just like, hey, that was fun way. Like, it's really good. It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of that first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. In two ways. One, in the sense of this is way better than it has any right to be, which is true in both cases. But the other one being, this is a really tight script. Because when you're doing a licensed property for a film, an adaptation like that, your general expectation, or in this case, a pseudo-sequel, rebooty thing, your expectation is somebody's basically going to throw together a functional script with a generic 3-act structure, and they'll just go with it. And while its structure is very true to the 3-act structure of Hollywood, as was also the case with Pirates of the Caribbean for that matter, it's just got way more thought and care put into it than you would have expected. And in the case of Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, right up front, how well these writers actually understand video games, how video games work and function, and what things can feel like, and how things can pan out. Now, does that make it a perfect pulling over a video game structure? Well, no, because video games are actually structured in many different ways over the entire course of the history of video games. But somebody at least understood. Because, like, I've seen movies, like, oh, God, heck, you watch any of the, cyber thriller movies or whatever from the 90s, anything that involved video games, like, it's clearly you people don't play them, or you haven't played them since Donkey Kong. Or like, I like David Cronenberg. I can't get into Existence at all because it seems so clear he does not understand how games work or why people play them. Here, the people who made this do. And that makes so much of a difference. It's not the cleverest humor in the world, like the jokes about NPCs and the stilted dialogue that the NPCs have. That's a pretty obvious joke if you know video games, but they still know video games well enough to actually make that joke, as opposed to make some joke that has nothing to do with how video games have been for the last 30 years. Oh, what a breath of fresh air that is right there. And then the way the characters, what personalities go into what characters, being used to both have these characters have arcs, but also being used as a commentary on certain types of characters within video games. Mainly, I'm thinking about Karen Gillan's character on that, Martha, because, I mean, and I think I was with most people. When we first saw the outfit that she had, I was like, really? Really? But then when you watch this, you realize, oh, because video game female player characters, and she doesn't like that she looks like that. Like, she gets somebody's coat to tie it around her waist. Like, yes, thank you. This is one of those cases where lampshade hanging actually works. If you don't know that phrase, lampshade hanging is like, oh, there's a problem over there. Are you going to change it? No, we're just going to draw attention to it by sticking this lampshade on it. That's what it is. So in this case, that the exploitative costuming that women tend to have in action movies or in video games, like, you going to change that? No, we're going to do commentary on it, though. We're going to hang a lampshade on it. And sometimes that just makes you go, I'm not sure it was worth it. You should have just gotten rid of it. Other times, lampshade hanging does the trick. And it does the trick here. So that works for me. Plus, I really like Karen Gillan anyway. Doctor Who fan, hard for me not to. So that works. Kevin Hart doesn't usually do much for me. But here it works quite well because he is standard Kevin Hart, because he is basically giving a Kevin Hart performance. But the idea of that uppity, sort of, wait, what, high energy, annoyed, loud guy being that way because he's a teenager who is looking at his body going, what? No! That makes his shtick work for me in a way that his shtick almost never works for me. So it's amazing the difference context can do, because his performance is not drastically different from anything else I've ever seen him do, but it works here because the context they built around it, suddenly I buy it. Instead of him being a grown adult acting like this, he's a teenager acting like this. Yes! Makes total sense to me. The Rock is just being The Rock. With the smolder. That was good. That was fun. And everyone's having fun. Everybody is clearly having a lot of fun and putting a lot of just joy into their work. However, highlight of the entire thing, and for deeper reasons than I would have thought, Bethany. Jack Black playing a superficial, selfie, social media obsessed teenage girl. Probably the best performance I've ever seen from him. It's just so well captured, but here's the thing. It's not excessively stereotypical. A little bit, sure, but here's what I love about Bethany. There's a lot of commentary on the type of person she is, but it doesn't feel overly judgmental of who she is. And there's actually a lot of positive elements of Bethany that I really, really like. After her initial shock, she finds joy in this male body, mainly because she's fascinated by her new set of genitals. But then when she gets back into her own body, immediately reasserting her own love of her own body in a very humorous way. I love that she is supportive of Martha. Like, she's a little judgmental of her and a little snarky towards her, especially before they end up in the game. But once they're in the situation, she does nothing but support her. And she's not undercutting her. The fact that she ends up with this crush on Alex, and Jonas Brother, cool. He worked too. I have no opinion on the Jonas Brothers, but no, he worked. But when she meets him back in the real world, suddenly Colin Hanks, I don't know why I like that, I just do. But she meets him there and finds out that he's married, he has kids, and instead of being jealous, instead of being like, oh, but I had a crush and you should have been mine, she's happy for him. I really like Bethany. I like Bethany in a similar vein to why I love Steve Harrington from Stranger Things. A seemingly superficial person with way more depth and as a character treated with way more respect than I would have expected them to be. And Jack Black brings that to this. He is able to capture that feel and that vibe, but it doesn't feel like he's making fun of this character. It feels like he's just exhibiting this character's traits. He's just inhabiting this character. I was shocked at how much I really, really liked Bethany. It's not a perfect movie. Its big hole is the villain. The villain is unintimidating, not particularly interesting, not that scary, not that intense. And honestly, there are so many hazards in this game that they're in. I don't think they even necessarily needed a villain. Like, they could have just said other people are after this thing, if they wanted them to be chased by, the people on the bikes or somebody in a helicopter or what have you. But, actually having a formal leader for a villain didn't add anything. Because all the memorable hazards had nothing to do with him. They were They were the animals. They were the terrain. They weren't this weirdo. So that's about the only fall down. But even that doesn't wreck it. It's just one thing that is not as that. It's just the one element that isn't elevated. Like everything else is better than it has any right to be. The villain's the one thing that's like, no, that's about what I would have expected. It's the one thing that didn't get elevated. Everything else is, so it is down by comparison. Also, the nods to the previous movie are nice. And I don't just mean the obvious one of Alan Parrish was there. I like that they find this piece and it's an elephant. Because the elephant was Alan's piece in the original. So that was nice. This is a fun movie. I'm annoyed I didn't see this up to this point. But I have now had to gush because I found it shockingly entertaining. And like, just smarter. Not like genius Swiftian subversion satire. Like, no, it's just a smart script. It is an intelligently constructed script. I liked this. You've seen it. What do you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Hope you're doing okay. A lot of stuff going on. Use the opportunity to catch up on movies that you should have seen before. And come on back next time you need a break.